Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit. And today we're going to talk about the NFC North and tell you who we think is going to win the divisions and what their records will be.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the NFC North, like where it all began, where Jay's home team play, where his hometown is, but not where his home team are.
Right.
We're going to be going through what we think the records will be for each team in the NFC North, and we'll be doing it division by division over the next couple of days, hopefully maybe a couple of weeks, obviously, until the new season begins, starting with the NFC North and ending with the NFC East. So we bookend our two teams. So if you want to know what we think about the Dallas Cowboys record, make sure you keep following all of these videos. You know, who knows what we might think.
So, Maddie, I'm just going to start by saying it's Mr. Rogers' neighborhood until somebody dethrones the Packers, right? So that's where. So might as well just start with the Packers, because until somebody knocks them off, it's their division. And so I was looking through, and I pretty much think that I get caught up, right? So you get in your head and you're like, will it be 13-4, which is just weird to say with an extra game, or will it be 14-3? And yeah. I just went through it like 3 times, and twice I came up with 13-4. So that's where I'm landing. I think they were 13-4, because I don't think Rodgers is an issue where people are like, oh, they're going to suck. Like, I have a neighbor who thinks the Packers are going to play bad this year because of what happened with Rodgers in the offseason. I don't. I think the second he walked through that door, everybody on that team except Jordan Love and Gutekunst were like, hell yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the reason that I don't think it's what happened in the offseason that'll be the problem with Rodgers. I think it's going to be what happens next season, which might be their problem this year. So I have their schedule in front of me, and I've got them going 11-6, just because I think
yours better.
So they're matching up against a lot of teams that they're going to struggle matching up with. So obviously their offensive line isn't the best. It's not been the best for a hot minute. And they've got teams like, obviously the NFC North is a division with a strong pass rush, just as a whole. Like the Bears and the Vikings are always going to be strong on pass rush. But then they also get the unlucky NFC East draw of playing the Washington football team, which is a terrible matchup for them with their bad four up front. They also have to play against the Ravens, who have got a mean pass rush, and obviously Detroit. The Browns have a mean pass rush as well. I just think they'll struggle against those teams with a mean pass rush. And the reason for that is, will Rodgers want to keep on taking, like, he doesn't really take hits anyway, but will he be happy standing in the pocket for as long as he needs to find a receiver if he knows he might be putting his next season on the line where he could be going somewhere else or could be in for a big payday, whatever he's doing, and he doesn't want to jeopardize that kind of thing. And obviously they're playing against a lot of the teams in the West, NFC and AFC, and that's just they've got a horrible schedule for them as I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I guess it's just when it comes to the Packers and they have Rodgers, they have Adams, I think Cobb's going to be a good addition back in the slot with them. And I think you go as Aaron Rodgers goes. I have said before, I think their defense is actually going to fall back a little bit, but I don't think it'll be like atrocious or anything. I think they split with the Vikings, so I think that's one of their losses. Otherwise,
yeah, I've got a split with the Vikings as well.
I got them doubling up on Detroit and the Bears because that's just what they do. And then I looked at home games, and then I had a real problem with this Browns one, okay? And this is really, you'll get it because you talked to me enough. So I really like the Browns, and I think the Browns could beat anybody on any given Sunday. I think the Packers could beat almost anybody on any given Sunday.
Yeah, of course.
When you put up the teams, the Browns are so much like more talent around on everything. And I like Baker Mayfield, but like it's Aaron Rodgers, and they're playing against Kevin Stefanski, who I absolutely love. but Aaron Rodgers played for years against the Vikings, and Stefanski was with the Vikings for 17 years. His scheme is Minnesota. So I think that gives Rodgers an edge, but I have a hard time with that one, because I love the Browns for what they're doing. I'm not a huge fan of the Packers because they play against us, right? But Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I've got that as a really close game. I've got the two Bears games as a really close game, but with the Packers coming out on top. I think I've got them beating the Browns on my 11-6 here. Obviously, it's not a solid thing. Like they could beat the 49ers, but then lose to the Bears, and then that puts all what I mean. But I've got them beating the Browns purely on the fact it's in Lambeau Fields. I think that's what would give them the edge. Like if it's in the doghouse, dog pound, whatever they call it, then I feel like it's the other way around. And I genuinely do think that the Browns have the most well-rounded roster in the NFL. So to say it's close, I mean, we're splitting hairs on what's going to be a playoff team in the end, anyway.
And then the only reason I got the Packers over the 49ers this year is because I think it's just they're going to have some trial by error, because I do think it's going to be Trey Lance's team sooner than later.
Yeah, because I just think it's like I just look at the teams with really good defensive lines. Like I've got the football team beating them, like just but due to the fact that that defensive line is going to be all over Aaron Rodgers, and I mean, Aaron Rodgers kind of thrives on that pressure anyway. So I don't doubt Aaron Rodgers could beat the Washington football team. It's one of those schedules where I look at it and it's like, I'm feeling, as I sit here today, 11-6, down to the fact that it's bad matchups, but it could easily be 13-3, 14
right. And you have me thinking like,
3.
well, you have me thinking of myself right now. Yeah, now they're going to go fucking 15-2 and make us both look stupid. Or,
yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
It's that kind of thing. It's Aaron Rodgers knows what it's like to be against an amazing pass rush. I just think their offensive line frightens me how not great it is.
Right.
You know
and
I mean?
I don't disagree that the 49ers could beat the Packers. So there's a lot of, this is like when we get down to the like the Lions, there's not going to be a lot of teams where I'm like, ooh, this is either one or the other, or, and with the Packers, they do have a lot of them games where I probably I have them losing to the Ravens, but if they beat the Ravens, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, exactly. It's once you have Aaron Rodgers on the field, there's not going to be a surprise in any of those games. Like that's like I feel like the Packers aren't a great roster, but they have a Hall of Fame quarterback, so that means they can win every game. But also, is he willing to be the same Aaron Rodgers for these guys? And I think, yes, he is willing, but there is something mentally where it's like, do I want to stay in the pocket against these pass rushers as long as I normally would do to find that guy, or, hey, we'll just take the play that's there, and then that becomes when Aaron Rodgers isn't playing lights out because he's getting under duress all the time, and he may have a niggling thought thinking, oh, that might affect my season next season for my new team or for my paycheck or whatever, then that's when it becomes on your roster a bit more, and their roster isn't.
That's the two schools of thought. And I'm on the other school of thought where Rodgers is coming out. He's going to go like this to Gutekunst and Murphy.
He did that last year and they fucked him. So, like,
when he's going to be, I think he plays like an MVP to give him an FU on the way out the door.
Yeah, I think he'll come out with the intentions of playing MVP. Right. I just think there's something in the back of your head when you're getting under duress. If it wasn't the teams that they were playing, I have no doubt that they could beat all of these caliber of teams. But it's just, so I would say the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys are a similar caliber of team, but the Washington football team are a worse matchup for the Green Bay Packers. Like the Packers would beat the Cowboys, but I think they'd struggle against the football team. But then I also think the Cowboys would beat the football team. Like, you know what I mean? I just think putting him under duress is a bit more of a bigger issue this year due to the thought in the back of his head than in years gone by. That's all I think the difference could be between 13-4, 14-3, whatever, and 11-6. That's the genuine difference.
Well, I'm not going to wait. Let's just move on to the Minnesota Vikings.
Let's do it.
Who like I try to be real clear, level-headed about all of this. And I think their defense is going to be top 5 again. Zimmer, they brought in a lot of guys, a lot of returning guys who came back because they love that defense, a lot of talent. So, and they were 4th last year in offense. So even if they fall back a little in offense, which I feel like it all depends on the offensive line. They can go up or they can go down depending on that offensive line. Yeah. Right now, Zimmer loves them, but nobody's really shitting on their team in the preseason, loves their offensive line. But 12-5 in the playoffs. Zimmer every other year makes the playoffs. This is the other year. So 12-5 Vikings make the playoffs, fight to the end with the Packers for the division. But I'll just say, sadly, the Packers still win the division.
Yeah, so I have, so it could easily go, could easily be 12-5 written down here. But I've gone 9-8.
You're so crazy.
So the reason that I've gone 9-8, just hear me out here, is their schedule contains so many unknowns. It's so ridiculous, the teams out there. So the Cardinals, how good are they going to be? Like, how good's Kyler Murray going to be? Do they have an offensive line?
I think they're overrated, but that's fair.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've got you beating the Cardinals, but it's just an example of the Seahawks. I've got you beating them as well. The Seahawks, it's just how good are they going to be? What's Russ going to do? Like, can he keep cooking with that roster? You know,
I don't remember. Where is that game?
No, at Vikings in Minnesota.
Okay, yeah, I have them winning that too because
and then there's Dallas, where you don't know what Dak Prescott's going to be able to do. I've obviously got you losing that game. I couldn't put it in my heart to have you winning that game. Well, but that's one of the games where I have
history means nothing, but in recent history, the Vikings have pretty much owned Dallas, so that could go one way or the other. Do they keep or do they go backwards? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I don't
mean
back to the NFC Championship game of 100 years ago. I'm talking like far on, but some of that had to do with Romo injuries and whatever.
I feel like they're very similar. I feel like they're very similar teams. I feel like that could be a barometer.
I was just going to say, I have a feeling that I'm almost like you. I think the Cowboys could go one way or another, but we'll wait to get to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I see them both. I see that game as kind of like where both of their seasons are going to go. Whether it's going to be like classic Dallas and Minnesota of recent times where it's just solid, or is it going to be that higher thing? And then I've got like the Chargers. We don't know how good Justin Herbert's going to be. The 49ers, we don't know what they're going to be like. The Rams, how's Matthew Stafford going to settle in at the Rams? Like, you just have so many unknowns where it's really difficult to gauge how well you guys are going to do. I have you kind of controlling the clock against the teams with a poor run defense. The issue is you're playing a lot of teams with good run defenses, and I don't see if it goes to a shootout, the Vikings winning is my only question with the Vikings.
See, it depends on Kirk Cousins, who's very accurate but makes dumbass decisions at times, right? But across the board, with Justin Jefferson, I love because he's like, I want Jalen Ramsey. Give me the Rams, which I was like, good for you for wanting that, right? Then there's Thielen. I don't think a lot of people know Irv Smith, but trust me, guys, unless you're playing in the Yankee and the Brit Fantasy Football League, draft him high. But draft Irv Smith high, unless you're playing against us, because I want him late. But and then D.D. Westbrook was huge. That's a true slot. But I get what you're saying, and I've been in arguments on Facebook all week about nice friendly debates, but I think Dalvin Cook's the best running back in football.
I think he's definitely in the conversation. I think it's difficult to put him outside the top 3.
Well, no, that's it. And if you're a Tennessee fan and you watch them, you're going to give me every reason why it's Henry. If you're a Panthers fan and you watch them, right? Like two years ago, if you're a Cowboys fan and you watch Zeke, so
Zeke this year, possibly.
I think it could be too. So but the homer in me, but I watch every Vikings game, practice stuff they have on the internet. So I'm a homer when it comes to Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, of course. And I think he's top 3. He's in the top 3.
If we go 9 and 8.
And they're all kind of like different things. I think I'm looking at it and I'm like, 9-8 is a bit harsh. I think I was just more erring on the side of
No,
caution
I
because
got
I
you.
knew
I just
you'd
when
go
you said
12
it,
and
I
5.
felt it in my heart. I was like, "Oh, it can't be 9-8." I felt
I
it in
think
my
we've
heart.
got the same question marks over the games. So, like, I've got a question mark. I've literally put L to the Cardinals and then put win to the Cardinals, like crossed out and put win, like later on. And like the Cowboys, it's only because I'm a Dallas fan, like that I'm thinking that I think it'll be very, very close.
Well, and I think it'll be a good game if you think about it. Both coaches know each other.
Yeah.
Like they've played against each other a lot.
Yeah. Who have you got their 5 losses as?
I had them losing once to the Packers. I don't have their schedule in front of me because I left it in the other room.
Yeah, I've got them losing once to the Bears.
See, I don't, but see that since I don't have it in front of me, let's segue right to the Bears. I think they're going to be fucking dumb, and I think they're really going to start Andy Dalton, and I think it's good, and it's going to slow down if you know. I don't think the Bears are going to be really good either way, so throw the kid in. Throw Fields in and see what happens.
See, I disagree with that on the basis of week 6 through 11. So week 6 through 11 is Packers at home, at the Bucks, 49ers at home, at the Steelers, and then the Ravens at home. And it's like, why not just...
So you give him the first 5 games to get used to playing before he hits murderous row.
Or you just... So there are games that they could win in those first few games, which is why I would play Dalton. So Rams is an L. Bengals is a win. We'll talk about why that's a win when we talk about the AFC North in our next video. The Browns are a loss, obviously, and then you've got Detroit and Vegas, where it's like, right, let's get a few wins under our belts, and you play Dalton in those games because their roster is good enough, their defense is good enough, so as long as you don't fuck up, and then you get the rate, and then week 11. They then have a bye week, and then they go into Lions, Cardinals after that. Well, I think they'll lose to the Cardinals, but at least they're much easier games. So I would throw...
If they try to wait till week 11 to play Justin Fields, those fans will lose their freaking minds.
And that's what good franchises do. They don't listen.
Right, and we're talking about the Bears.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, that's true. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm just saying that's what I would...
Well, how many wins do you have them having?
I've got them going 5-12.
Yeah, I got them exactly 5-12.
Yeah.
Either quarterback starting. I said 5-12 too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I agree they have a murderous
changes.
row.
Yeah.
And I think they start Fields, so I think it's going to be kind of rocky in the beginning, but I think there's a few games they pull out with Fields in the beginning.
Yeah, I think their offense is dire. Like when you like their defense is going to be great. And defense wins games, but their offense has got one good weapon, and then Fields is the other weapon. But do you want to throw Fields into that hellhole of what is the first half of their schedule is awful? Like, because they could easily lose to the Bengals as well. Like, depending on what happens there, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just not a nice, like, it's just not, they've not been served a good hand, really. So I would say to Dalton, there you go, you've got the reins, and then let him just lose. Like, Chicago's a lose-lose situation for Andy Dalton.
And I'm not, I don't know why Nagy's still the coach, but you've heard me say that a million times. Ryan Pace has got to go. But I'd rather have Fitzpatrick than Andy Dalton. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to judge Andy Dalton without completely shitting on him because he's not complete garbage. But it's like, if you put all this draft capital into Justin Fields and he can play at all, then you just throw him out there because give him the Peyton Manning. You know what I mean? Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his first year. Just, if you're not going to the playoffs, let this kid take his lumps and learn. But I don't think they'll do that because Nagy's trying to save his job.
I think the issue is with that is Dalton. So Dalton's in a lose-lose situation. Dalton is like, he either plays for the Bears and they lose a lot this season. They go 5-12 and he gets booed out of the place. So you may as well just let him take the fall when you know your team's going to be terrible, and then bring Fields in to hopefully spark off and play well, but not necessarily win. But at least it looks better than when Andy Dalton's on the field. Like, I would give anything for Andy Dalton to still be at the Dallas Cowboys right now with everything that's happening with Dak. He's a great second. He's a great backup quarterback, and he's a really good quarterback for if you have an absolutely fire offense. Like, he can really make it tick kind of thing. He's a really, really good player. But if Fields is your person of the future, why throw him to the dogs now? Why not? And with the Bears fans the way that they are, just take the lumps. Let Dalton take the lumps, and then Fields is going to look better by playing in comparison. I think Fields is their only hope of having an offense that looks good at all this season.
I think you do Fields a disservice if you don't start him, though. I guess that's where we differ, because just let him get in there and learn how to play. The whole Peyton Manning, those guys, they just get in there and take your lumps, because starting Andy Dalton, and this is just me, does zero for the franchise, and it does zero for Fields, because I think Andy Dalton's going to be trash in Chicago, but I don't think he's trash.
I think it helps. I think the only thing it does for the franchise is help Fields' standing and kind of mental game. Like his mental game.
Okay, I guess it, but he's the guy I keep reading. He wants to play, whatever. Maybe you ruin him. You know what?
I love Fields.
I don't, but maybe you sit him the whole year because Matt Nagy's fucking trash and he's going to get him killed anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying the Bears are dysfunctional. You changed my mind. I don't even know what I think.
I'm not saying that's what they would do. I would say just leave it to get through, like get a few wins under your belt, then go through that horror show of week 6 through week 11.
Right. And I disagreed with you. Now I agree with you. So you changed my whole mind. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I don't think they will do it. I think he'll start. They'll play. They won't move the ball at all against the Rams. And then they'll beat the Bengals through playing good defense because the Bengals won't be able to move the ball. And then they'll lose to the Browns heavily. And then they bring Fields in for the Detroit game, which sounds great because you should get a win against Detroit. Fields going to look good. And then carry on that momentum. You'll then beat Vegas. But then he's just going to look like the rookie he is against the Packers, Bucks, 49ers, Steelers, and Ravens. Like that's their run. And it's
and this ain't even just being a homer. Then you have to play the Vikings twice. And if you see what Mike Zimmer defenses do to rookie quarterbacks, you know what I mean? It's just being a rookie in the NFL is rough.
Yeah.
And I was just like, throw him in there. And I normally would agree. But now that you were talking and I kept thinking, I'm like, sit the kid because Matt Nagy's going to get him killed like he did Trubisky.
Yeah, there's no point of playing him this season because you're going to go 5-12 anyway. Like there's no like no matter.
You're going to fire Nagy after the year.
Yeah, you're going to get the guy who's meant to save your franchise killed, or you're going to get him so beaten up by the fans that he's just a mental wreck. Like Josh Rosen, for instance, like Josh Rosen got so much shit for being on a terrible team. He now looks like he's never going to be a starting quarterback again. And talking about a terrible team. For a long time, we've got.
They're the funnest team, though. They're the funnest team to talk about right now.
I'm gonna love them this year. I'm really gonna root for them this year. I really want them to do well. I don't think they're going to. I've got them going 3-14.
Okay, I had them with 4 wins, so we were real close.
What wins have you got?
I have them splitting with the Packers because they always split with the Packers. That has nothing to do or they always play the Packers tough or split, and that has nothing to do with them being better than the Packers. But they're going to beat the Packers. They're going to beat Cincinnati. Who else do I have them beating? I'm trying to think. I'm going to look.
So I've got them beating the Eagles, Denver, and the Falcons.
Yeah, I had them beating the Eagles and the Falcons along with the Packers once in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean. Again, I don't want to cross over too much with what I'm going to say about the Bengals, but all of these teams play the Bengals. So I feel like if you meet the Bengals early in this season, you're going to beat them. apart from the Lions. But hey, you could beat them, but if you meet them late in the season, then you've got less chance of beating them. Let's say. Now the Lions, I think they're going to really, really improve from what we've seen, and they're going to cause problems. Like nobody's going to want to play in Detroit, and nobody's want to play against Detroit because it's just asking. The way that I think they're going to play is asking for lumps, bruises, fatigue. They're going to make you play hard every play to beat them, even if they don't have the talent yet. So they're going to get in the trenches.
The same thing, because I said playing the Lions this year is going to feel like you got in a fist fight.
Yeah, I think they're going to get in the trenches and then be outclassed. They won't be outworked by anybody. They'll be outclassed. Right. Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I think that's what you can kind of say. I think their offensive line is going to be solid. I think their defensive line is just going to come blitzing every single time. And everybody's just going to hate playing them. They'll beat them, but they'll hate playing them.
I was watching Pat McAfee before I came on with you today.
Yeah.
And Bobby Carpenter was on there, and he was telling a story about Motor City Dan Campbell because they're friends. And he said Dan acts like a meathead, but he's super intelligent. You know what I mean? Even though he played like a meathead, and that's I don't know. I don't know if you guys use the term meathead, but it's actually an enduring.
I know
term.
what it means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was saying they went to this concert with a bunch of guys, and Carpenter's wife was there, and it's like midnight. It's the Saturday before Mother's Day. Dan Campbell, he looks at him. He said, "Buddy, it's time to go." Dan drinks a beer, hits a cigarette, and goes, "I'm staying with the band." And they're like, "What?" They're like, "Dude, you're an hour and a half away from Columbus. How are you going to get back?" "I'm staying with the band." And they literally just left him there. And he said, though, that he told that story to say Dan Campbell is going to have that team playing hard for them. And he is so much smarter than the pundits are giving him credit for right now.
Yeah, I have no doubt that I don't know him. I don't know really anything about him apart from what pundits say. But
me either.
I think he's obviously going to be smarter than he gets credit for. But I think the first thing, it's not going to be X's and O's at the Lions this year. This year, it's not going to be X's and O's. It's going to be, let's come off the edge and try and kill the quarterback every time. Whoever's opposite you, you beat them. And if you don't beat them, then you're not talented enough to go to any other team. So why would we have you here? Like that kind of mentality. Just beat whoever's across from you. It doesn't matter about what goes on. Let's improve the culture first. This is Detroit. Like this is Motor City, this home Motown, this home. So like it's a hardcore place to live. Let's give that to our fans that's how we play.
This is okay. We all heard the blue collar Dan Campbell chew kneecaps off speech, that thing, right? This is what he will tell his players because he doesn't have a microphone in there. Go out there and hit him in the fucking mouth. Every play, hit him in the fucking mouth. Like make them know you're there. You know how you watch Hard Knocks. Dan Campbell, is in that locker room being like, I want snot bubbles. I want you to make them feel you every play because, like you said, it's not going to be talent and scheme. It's going to be, we just want it more than you.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily to win. Like it's to build that culture up first.
Yep.
Like build that culture first, and then we'll go from there. We can then start adding in our skilled players, and we'll start adding in schemes and figuring out how to win close games and that kind of thing. But first, let's go out there. And I genuinely believe they should build themselves around the idea of it's Detroit. Like, let's build around that. Let's be good representatives for this community, the people that come watch us, the people that support us. Let's be good representatives for how they live their lives, and let's fight tooth and nail for everything that we can get. And that should inspire the players to be better. And if that doesn't inspire you, I'm sorry, then you're not cut out for this team. And just carry on from there and find the players that are going to make your culture your core, and then you can build up from that. This is the Lions are a huge project. They're a massive project, And I think they're going to improve in terms of what we see in terms of hardcore play. Obviously, without Matthew Stafford and replacing having Jared Goff replacing him, you're going to lack a bit of talent. But
hey, for Lions fans, it's exciting because like I've joked always, but it's true. The Lions have been rebuilding for 40 years. They might have found a guy who might build the right culture, and this might be exactly what happens in Detroit, but it's good for the fans. Dan Campbell might be there 4 to 5 years, building this culture, get them to 10-7, 9-8 type football team, lose his job, but because of the culture he built, the next guy can come in and take you. So, I mean, Dan Campbell might be the guy who builds the rock for any future that the Detroit Lions have, and for their fans, because they don't usually have much to be excited for. I'd be excited for that.
Yeah, like Andy Reid setting the grounds in Kansas, getting them to that 8-8, like that kind of team where they're close to the playoffs, they're in close games all of the time, and then Mahomes comes in, and that's your one spark that gets you over the top.
Right, and sometimes coaches set that foundation and then get fired, but the next coach can take them over, but that doesn't take away from what. And if Dan Campbell gets them to respectable, he should never have to pay for a meal in Detroit again.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope we're giving Detroit justice. Like, honestly, we're waxing lyrical about them, but they're still going to go like 3-14, 4-13, that kind of record, which is, it's sad to say, but hey, you're coming from this place, so let's come on.
And you're going to need a quarterback, so at least you'll draft high in the draft, because we all know Jared Goff's just a stopgap. You know what I mean? So It wouldn't be bad. I know the fans don't want to hear this, but it wouldn't be bad to go 2-15 for them this year.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a good stopgap anyway. Yeah, get Spencer Rattler next season, that kind of guy. And hey, I hope we did the NFC North justice. I hope everybody watching this enjoyed the video, and please do comment down below, because I'm starting to get less busy now that summer in the UK is ending, and I need a bit of fun arguing with some people in the comments in a very polite way, of course.
Yeah, and if you want to argue with me, you can cuss me out. I don't care. I'm not as polite. But well, thanks everybody for watching. Stay tuned. We'll be dropping AFC North and the rest of it going division by division. Hey, go follow on YouTube. We need more play on YouTube. I know I say that, and I don't see it. So come on, guys, show some love. Go over, subscribe to YouTube. And again, just if you find 2 Yankee and the Brit pages, and we've explained that a couple times, hit the one with more likes. All right, guys.
Yeah, and I mean, YouTube's a great place to actually see all of our content all the time. Like on Facebook, you'll miss it on your wall. If you subscribe to us on YouTube, you'll get every video that we put out, and you'll see it every single time. So that would be great for us as well. Thank you very much, guys.
One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.